Welcome back to another exciting episode of our Hof Bergmann Explained series. Today we're going to take a look at the changes between the 1.2 release and the 1.3 release of Hof Bergmann. But before that, this video is brought to you by David Korn and Matthew Young. Thank you for being farm barons. So first, let's talk about the changes and fixes that have come with the version 1.3 of Hof Bergmann. I'm going to be mostly reading from the changelog for this section. The BGA has been removed from the prices screen because it's only accessible if you own it. The allotment garden, the onion stacks, and grape baskets did not spawn in rows. That has now been fixed thanks to Arch Mobile. A suppress warning script for unloading triggers has been installed. This is going to prevent the message from popping up that things are not accepted here. Once again, thanks to Arch Mobile. A script has been put into place so that objects like baskets, bags, and totes do not have to be tipped upside down or turned over in order to be unloaded. Water capacity has been increased in the chicken coops. Animal stable capacities have been slightly adjusted. The bridge construction that came in 1.2 has now been removed. Instead, a bridge is permanently installed. The sawmill has been simplified because of the lack of bridge construction now. Only standard boards are produced. The starting vehicles have been slightly adjusted. For the stables in the chicken fattening area, the animal unload triggers have been moved outside so they are more easily reached by livestock trailers. The gas station has been reworked. Triggers are now more apart and connections for the LSFM hose system have been installed. In addition, connections for the hose system have also been installed at the milk tank for the cattle breeding area. A bug was fixed with respect to the Oxbow DLC, where windrower effects for the Clover windrow were not available. Lastly, the PDA has been adjusted and the vine positions at the grape vineyard have been adjusted so hired helpers are able to work with them more efficiently. Now that we've talked about the changes from 1.2 to 1.3, let's dive into what has been added as far as the 1.3 release of Hof Bergmann. Maize Plus is now officially supported with Hof Bergmann 1.3. You will need to use the current version of Maize Plus available over at the Giants Mod Hub. And in addition, you're going to need to add to your mods folder the optional mod that's named FS22 Maize Plus Hof Bergmann Animal Food Additions.zip. That's going to be found in the optional mods folder of your Hof Bergmann download. Once you extract that, you need to put Maize Plus and the Animal Food Additions mod into your mod folder in order to have full Maize Plus support. Over at the new area, we have now a pig breeding facility with 2 large pig stables that have been installed. You're going to need to purchase the land, of course, before you can make use of that. And that is going to be Farmland ID 63. That's going to be purchasable for $634,000. Once you buy that land, of course, you can go ahead and come on in here and enter it. Now we have 2 pig stables, Pig Stable 1 and Pig Stable 2. They are basically identical to each other. They're both going to hold 250 pigs. You can either get piglets, porkers, or sows. And then you have of course, your food trough in here. Your straw trigger is going to be on the other side. You're going to have a slurry point. It's going to be located right there, and right behind us, we have the manure point for building number 1. In addition to the 2 pig stables, we have a large slurry storage here at this area. We have equipment storage. And then we have a large industrial pig food mixer. Now, this is just like the pig food mixer over at the main starting farm, and that it is going to accept potatoes and grain meal. And then you're going to come over here, you're going to activate it, and it's going to then produce pig food. You're going to get your pig food out of that spout right there. We do have bale storage here at this pig area for a straw. 300 total bales are available to be stored there. And then as far as the second fattening barn, here you can find the manure heap and the slurry point for that. A new crop has also been added to the map in cherries. So you're going to find the cherry grove over here at Farmland ID 60. Again, here is the pig fattening area where we were just at. This can be purchased for $225,000. Once we come in here, we have a house. This does not have a farmhouse sleep trigger, though. We have some equipment storage. Nice loading ramp. Another small shed. And then we have this grove of cherry trees. So one important thing to note is the growth calendar for our cherries when we start the game in August. Well, we need to get these cherries harvested right away. Otherwise, well, we're not going to be harvesting them again until next July. So if you are doing a brand new game save, you do need to prioritize getting your cherries harvested. And the way we harvest these cherries is rather interesting. We're not going to dive into that here because, well, I'm going to do another video on how we work with cherries. But what we do want to show off right now is going to mods and DLCs. There is a custom trailer that you're going to need to make use of, and that is going to be found here under the Hof Bergmann section. Right here, the CHT4000. This is the cherry loading trailer. This is the only way to harvest cherries. So do make sure you have this trailer when you are trying to collect your cherries off of your cherry tree. And don't be like George Washington. Don't go and chop it down. Just south of the starting farm in the old section of the map, we have a beekeeping area that has now been added. It's right behind the slurry storage. We're going to find it right here, right beside fields 3 and 7. You're going to be able to buy that Farmland ID 65 for $13,574. And what you're going to find here is several beehives. Now, in addition to the beehives located here, we're going to also find additional beehives located up here in the cherry orchard as well. These are not your standard base game beehives, though. These beehives are going to produce honeycomb. And you're going to collect honeycomb with a special bucket that you're going to once again find in the shop, mods and DLCs, Hof Bergmann. It's going to be this container right here. Transport box for honeycombs, $10. You want to buy a couple of these, but you don't need a whole lot of them. And we're obviously not going to show you how you use the honey right now. That is going to be for yet another Hof Bergmann Explained video. But once you load up your honeycombs, you're going to bring them into this building. And you're going to place them into the honey extractor. The honey extractor is going to take honeycomb and produce little crates of honey on this shelf. Now, Farmer Andy has been thinking about your health and safety, and the fact that we have a wardrobe trigger right here where we can go ahead and put on a beekeeping suit. That way we are safe when we are trying to work with our bees. A new town has been added to the new expanded area of the map. Let's go ahead and show you where that is. Now, the old map ended right here, just north of the Grapevine area, and this entire section has been added. And here we have the new town. Right there's the name of it. And in the new town, we obviously have some sell points. We have a supermarket, distillery, sewage treatment plant. We have a decorative horse farm. We have a slaughterhouse to process animals, as well as a third player farm available. So at the slaughterhouse, which is located right here just south of Field 48 and north of Field 49 in the new town area, we are going to deliver our animals to the slaughterhouse. And once we do that, then we are going to be able to basically reap the rewards of meat being sold. Now, meat is sold automatically here at the slaughterhouse. And if you deliver cows or horses, Well, you're also going to get animal skins as an output. So you can see you can bring pigs, cows, horses, and then we have our animal skins, poultry, sheep and goats, and rabbits. And depending on what animal you bring, you're going to get a certain process or a certain amount of meat, and that meat is automatically sold. But you will get pallets of animal hide if you bring cows or horses. And animal hide is going to be further processed over at the tannery. Right across the street from the slaughterhouse, which we see below, we have a new placeable building area that you can buy and put down additional buildings or make use of it as a meadow or farmland. That is going to be viable here. It is farmland ID 76. I can buy for $357,000. In addition, the tannery, which I just mentioned, you can buy for $528,000. And let's go take a look at that and talk about that real quick. So the tannery is where we are going to bring our raw animal hides. And we are then going to process them into, guess what? Leather. Of which we can then sell leather at a new sell point down in the original town. We're, of course, going to have a whole video on processing of leather, but it is a multi-stage process, very similar to the brewery for making beer or the winery for taking our grapes and processing into wine. We're going to bring our raw hides here to the washing area. Then we're going to move it over to the defleshing and dehairing station. We're going to bring it over to the bathtubs where we are going to introduce some tannins and tan our hides, if you will. And then once that is done, we're going to bring it over to the drying house, which is going to be located in here. And the whole process is pretty cool. Like I said, we're going to profile that in a whole separate video. I mentioned the grocery store that has been added to the new town. We have Grocery Store Andy right here. You're going to find that here on the PDA. Just across the street from the grocery store is a second church and graveyard. Something else that has been added in 1.3 is the fact that both churches will spawn compost over time. So obviously you're going to need to come in here with something small like a wheelbarrow. Make your way around the building. This church to the north does not have a drunken priest at it, thankfully. And on the side of both churches, you're going to find a compost heap. And over time, we're going to have compost spawn here. You're going to be able to come collect this and use it over at your allotment gardens, over at your gardens, at some of your various farms, player farm areas, or you can add it to your fields should you so wish. Just past the church and the football field. For those of you that like to use the emergency DLC that was announced and released at FarmCon this year, well, we have an interactive firehouse. So we have 3 bays that we can open by activating the triggers right here outside the door. And we can activate the fire siren at any time we want. And then further down the street, we have a distillery. And the distillery at this point is simply a sell point. It might get further updated in the future, but for now it is simply a sell point. Now behind the distillery, we have the sewage treatment plant. That's going to be located right here. And the sewage treatment plant is for the purpose of selling your dirty water that is a byproduct of the tanning process. So when you air quote sell your dirty water, you're going to be charged a small amount of money, right? So it's going to cost you some money to dispense of your dirty water, but you're going to bring it here to the water treatment plant, unload it right there. And then during the process, we're slowly going to get cleaner and cleaner water. Now, it was asked of me during my live stream if you could use this as a water fill point, you cannot. There does not appear to be any triggers to pull water out of here. Another area of note at the new town is a sell point that is set up as a horse farm that is going to be located right here, north of Field 45. It is simply a decorative horse farm that is going to be a sell point for oats, as well as your hay, straw, and grass, located right here. We do have some nice animated horses moving around, some younger horses. And then lastly, up at, again, the new expanded area in town, we have a third player farm that has been added. Across the street from that player farm is a second outdoor cow pasture. This cow pasture is going to support 150 cattle. We have our water trigger, and then we have our food trigger. Now, with the addition of Maize Plus being compatible with this map, in addition, these pasture areas have been reworked such that they now work and support grazing. Across the street from that is going to be a new player farm. Let's go ahead and just do a quick walkthrough of this player farm. I've gone ahead and bought the land. Let's take a look where it is on the PDA. It's located right here, right beside the horse area, which we were just at. Here we have the tannery as a point of reference, the grocery store. We have the emergency fire station there, the distillery, the wastewater treatment plant, and then the slaughterhouse. We can buy this farmland ID 75 for $1 million. It does include the horse, or not the horse, but the cow pasture across the street. As we come in to the left, we have our farmhouse with a water trigger. We have an outdoor sleep trigger, and we have a wardrobe trigger inside the garage. Very similar to the Hof Bergmann farmhouse. To our right, when we come inside the farm, we have a chicken duck coop. And just like the chicken and duck area at the main farm, we have our water tray. Inside the shed, we have our food, and our manure is going to spawn in here, as well as our eggs. $100 total chickens are available to be stored in here. And of course, keeping with Farmer Andy and Hof Bergmann, we can get chicks, chickens, roosters, ducklings, or ducks. Continue to make our way counterclockwise. We have a straw loft, very similar to the straw loft that's over at the main farm. We have a farm silo, so we have our dump point and our fill pipe. And then inside of this building, we actually have 2 goat and sheep areas. So each of these is going to support 30 animals. We can buy lambs, sheep, rams, young goats, goats, and male goats. We have our food trough, and then we have our milk here in the back. Then we have our second food trough and milk in the back. Then we have our delivery trigger for those. We have a fill pipe for water. And then we have a tank. Well, this is not for cows. This is because we have now a second building where we can produce butter or cheese, just like over at the main farm. There is a workshop trigger inside of here. Then behind this building, we have some more just general storage, as well as a silage bunker. Then the last thing that I want to mention is down here at the winery. Of course, you do need to own this. This is not new, but it is a change. I should have really mentioned it in the earlier segment of the video, but I did not. Farmland ID 28, $541,000. That is where the winery and the grapes are located. Well, the input hopper for the grape cleaner, it's been increased significantly. It had a capacity of 10,000 liters initially, and that really constrained folks with respect to filling this up and continuing to be able to harvest your grapes. So this is now going to have an income capacity of 50,000 liters. So guys, that is it. That is the listing of things that have been changed from 1.2 to 1.3, as well as the things that have been added to Hof Bergmann with the 1.3 release. Let me know what you think of the additions and changes down in the comments below, and keep an eye out in the channel for additional Hof Bergmann Explained videos to be released over the next few days, explaining in a lot more detail the tannery, the cherry processing, as well as the honey production. And until next time, happy farming.